Welcome to Leeds in the Yorkshire West Methodist District, a district that stretches from the rural communities of Settle and Skipton in the north to Penistone in the south, from Nottingham in the east across through the cities and towns of Wakefield, Leeds, Bradford, Huddersfield and Halifax over to Todmorden.
The Yorkshire West District is one which holds a diversity of contexts and churches, from small rural villages and chapels in places like Mallow and Ripponden, to pioneering new places for new people at St Arnold's in Bradford and at Leeds Sanctuary, the Methodist Church in the city centre of Leeds. It is blessed with committed disciples who are seeking to share the good news of Jesus in different ways.
The strategy of the Yorkshire West District recognises that the district is part of the Methodist Church in Great Britain, and it exists to inspire, equip and resource the circuits and churches of the district, to support them in living out the calling of the Methodist Church and to respond to the gospel of God's love in Christ. Through this working in partnership, we seek with God's help to be a growing, evangelistic, justice-seeking, inclusive and safe church, living out its discipleship and mission.
Within the equipping and mission and ministry strand of the district strategy is the objective that we will participate in the connectional funding programme for new places for new people and church at the margins. This video shares with you the story of our discernment over the last 18 months and introduces you to two places where we plan to grow new places for new people with the blessing of the funding in Tranche 1.
Our New Places for New People discernment was led by our Equipping Mission and Ministry group, who spent time in conversation and in prayer over a number of months. Through this discernment, we came to three strands, which we believe are key to any new place for new people in Yorkshire West, and will help us discern where to plant new places for new people. These three strands are:
firstly, that ground clearing has happened. Through a number of images and conversations, we felt God was saying new places for new people will only flourish and new ecclesial communities begin where the ground has already been cleared. The ground clearing will be different in different places, but will be identifiable as part of our discerning where new places for new people should be planted.
Secondly, it's where Methodism is called to be present. In the places where ground has been cleared, it will be the case that the existing Methodist presence is not necessarily going to flourish, or in fact has already ceased. And at the same time, we will be able to discern that Methodism is called to be present in that place, and therefore a new place for new people is appropriate.
Thirdly, intentional mission and discipleship will be at the core. As a district, we are committed to a Methodist way of life being a key tool for intentional mission and discipleship. A key element of my role is to help develop new missional communities which include a Methodist way of life or similar. We believe new places for new people in Yorkshire West should be part of this commitment and have a clear focus on mission and discipleship. Our intention is that through this commitment, the new ecclesial communities will evolve.
And having identified these three strands, we began to look and listen for places in the district where God was calling us to plant new places for new people at this time. Through many conversations and through prayer, we were led to Keighley and to Pontefract, where we could see that the ground clearing was beginning to take place and possibilities were emerging.
So we're going to take you from Leeds to Keighley and then to Pontefract to share with you what God is doing and how we are joining in.
Welcome to Keighley, welcome to our lovely pre-loved store here in the heart of the town. My name is Nell, I'm the Methodist presbyter here in the Airedale Circuit.
My name is Tracy and I'm one of the volunteers here at the shop.
So before I arrived here as a presbyter just over a year ago, sadly the LEP had already dissolved. And so that left us with an opportunity to prayerfully consider about what might be new and next for us here as Methodists. Alongside that, before we arrived here, I literally had a dream. and I had a dream about a premises, a storefront premises. I saw myself walking out of the door in this storefront premises, and I contacted who would be our new superintendent to tell her about this. Later, when we arrived in Circuit, we literally stumbled across this particular building, which matched as a mirror image the building I'd seen in my dream, which just felt outstanding. We decided to call this shop Pre-Loved because of prevenient grace, and the dream matched that sense of God going before us, that first whisper that God had prepared the way for us, that we were meeting the grace of God in this place. So having stumbled across this remarkable likeness in this building, I then took all of the dream and all of the occurrences, all that had happened to our circuit leadership team. And after some negotiation with TMCP, we were able to begin this pilot project and to start a project here in Keighley. And this project has just begun and is in its infancy.
There are lots of people who are touched by Pre-Loved, but one particular lady that I think of is a grandma who regularly walks through town and regularly walks past the arcade and just pops in. The reason she comes in is to buy clothes or toys for her grandchildren. Herself and her daughter don't have a lot of money, but because we sell things here that are reasonably priced because everything's donated, we've enabled her to support her family in these great times of need.
As a Pre-Loved community, we follow the Methodist way of life, and that is a really important focus for us, that we are a gathered community within the shop already. For those of us who are here as volunteers, that we begin each day when we're open with prayer, with reflection, with going through the questions, with our Bible reading. So that's part of the DNA of Pre-Loved already. As we grow as a new place for new people, as we grow as a wider gathered community and as an ecclesial community, that rhythm will be at our heart, that this will be a way of life, a Methodist way of life for us, and that we hope that that will create the community that will then grow to become a new place for people to worship. Because our emphasis and the community that we're gathering is around young families, whether that's foster parents, teenage parents, whether that's carers, whether that's grandparents, or whether that is birth parents. That will be the focus of our ministry and our mission. So the sacramental elements around baptisms, the nurturing of faith, the growing of disciples will be based around those family connections. So we would be looking towards messy church, possibly muddy church, creative ways of being church, storytelling, so that we can see how, as our growing community, we become a part of God's bigger story of love here in Keighley.
I'm Ruth, the presbyter here in Pontefract, part of Aaron Calder Circuit.
And I'm Paula. I am a circuit lay employee working alongside Reverend Ruth at Pontefract.
I think it starts really in COVID, which I guess is a lot of people's story for a lot of things. Yeah. 2 churches, separate congregations, either side of town, walkable distance. During COVID, we started to do Zoom things together, worship, Bible studies, coffee, all sorts of things. And when we were emerging from the restrictions, we decided to continue to meet together rather than separately. So that was quite a significant part of our journey. So alternate weeks at the different churches. And that's the short story, I think, of what's been going on. But the bigger story, I guess, is what we've asked during that time. And on the 5th Sunday of every month, we started doing a different service. One of those was a labyrinth. During the afternoon, we explored, behold, I am doing something new. And here, actually, in this church building, we did a reflection that asked a series of questions what is God saying and doing that is new here in Pontefract that we could join in with. And from that we got lots of words, didn't we?
We did, yes.
Like together,
faith,
courage, be bold.
We can do this.
Yes, we can do this
that's
together.
came
that
out,
came
yeah,
up quite
yeah.
a lot. And so the churches, I think, people within the church was beginning to see that there is something new coming, and the way that we'll engage with that is if we do it together.
Do it together, definitely together. Yeah.
And that was a big piece of hearing and discerning, I think. That led to a consultation process that we've been through as two congregations, looking at should we join together, and ultimately through that some words again came out quite strongly about faith nourishing everyone. That's become the strap line that we're working with, really, isn't it? Faith nourishing everyone. All of that, the listening and the chatting, developed into the church councils agreeing that we would become one church. We've got two sites, we took that off the table as a discussion at the time. So for the last little period of time we've been worshipping and acting as one church. We are now fully merged as Pontefract Methodist Church. And so now the question is, because of what? What is it that's new that God is doing and that we're being called to join in with, really? There are some people within the church that are real prayers behind the scenes, and there's been a rhythm of prayer within that, which has been quite significant. And I think the consultation process has helped us to listen and discern, to hear what God might be saying to us. The Labyrinth Day was very significant, I think. We've got a guy who's quite artistic, and he drew a desert for us with a river through it and all sorts of things, and people came and put the words that they'd heard on that. And I think, you know, for them that was a real big listening piece. Although they may not have said, God has said this, there was a sense that God was just, you know, leading us in that.
Well, here, obviously, we've opened, this is our 5th week of the warm room, and right from the start, one lady came in. The next week she brought a friend, and then somebody else came. And with it being the school holidays today, she's brought her children with her. And we've gradually got to know her, talking about her situation, and what it has meant for her to come here, to be safe, to be warm. That's a very significant thing, to be warm. And that she's felt welcomed and not judged, and everybody's spoken to her, but at the same time not being overwhelmed by it. And only today someone's just said to me, this lady's done her shopping, but only the basics. Can we give her some biscuits or something? So just to be able to send her home and say, give her a little something, that will help. So she's definitely been touched, and I think the people that she's brought along with her have been too.
I think that's a hard question at the moment still. In our mind's eye, I know we've got 2 buildings. This one in particular is based more in town, and has God given us a new opportunity to repurpose this place, not as a community centre, but a faith centre for community. And I think that's quite a significant issue for us, that there are other provisions in town. But what is it that is our story? Well, Jesus is our story within all of that. So a space or spaces here that just do offer welcome and have a rhythm to them of faith that is open and intentional, so it's not just about catering for people's physical needs, but also faith nourishing everyone on that deeper level.
And a welcoming place to explore that. At, I guess, a really entry level. But
I think we feel that it's still early, and so to hear more about the community needs is a really important feature of any next steps, and hearing what God is saying in actuality about, you know, what is the thing that we're moving into and what will that look like. We're trying different things, but in the trying I think we need to do a lot more listening as well. For me, the heart of this is about a welcome space that is about Jesus, that is not just a welcome space or spaces that we can create here perhaps, but is a rhythm of faith, a community of people who are a community of faith, sharing and exploring faith together, whether that's me, Paula, or someone who's never been before, you know, that we're doing that together, and it's intentional
As you have seen, both of our new places for new people are in places where the ground has been cleared, where we have a real sense of a calling to be, and where mission and discipleship are the heart of those involved. We hope you're excited as we are about what will emerge in these places.
As a district, we are committed to supporting new places for new people in a number of ways. In my role as Missional Communities Enabler, I'll be working with the two projects, supporting them in the appointing of pioneers, listening to local communities, developing projects and opportunities. We'll be encouraging all those who are appointed to join the Methodist Pioneer Pathway. And I'm also looking at as a district at a number of other opportunities to gather together those involved with developing new places for new people, those connectionally funded and many funded in other ways.
As well as David's support, the district's Grand Committee will oversee the stewardship of the New Places for New People funding, and Carla Quinnett, our aligned officer from the Learning Network, will take a key lead role on how we learn from Keighley and Pontefract in preparation for other new places for new people. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and for being interested in our New Places for New People projects.